Hey there, welcome to Hiking for Health California, otherwise known as CA, which is the name of the channel. I had a little week off last week from actually posting. I've been posting a whole bunch of stuff actually. It's been a really good year for hiking, especially compared to our previous year with all the COVID fiasco stuff. This year, got out on a bunch of trails, got out on some trails with my wife, which was a lot of fun. And a few other just really good places to hike and things like that. Got a little bit more planned, but yeah, part of the thing I wanted to say, aside from doing a commentary here, is I don't know how or what I did, but my left knee is giving me some issues. Now, I know I mentioned on my backpack trip, if you watch the videos for those, that going uphill, my left knee was giving me some twinges here and there. But it wasn't anything horrible. I mean, it was just like a little poke of a pain. No big deal. Certainly didn't debilitate me. I was able to walk just fine in and out of those, out of the trail there in the Sierra. So that was a lot of fun. But here I am a month later and have not really done a lot of hiking since then, because just, you know, I haven't been like sedentary. There's been a lot of things going on. It's just been very busy. So too busy to get out on the trails. Been doing other things. A lot of work going on in my garden and things like that. One of these times maybe I'll do a quick tour of. It's not looking great now at the end of the season. I should have done it like sometime midsummer when everything was just crazy and blooming and being great like that and everything. But anyway, my left knee is giving me such a problem that it's actually making me limp. I'm having trouble walking on it. It's not swollen, and just sitting with it like I normally would in my you know, what we call at home the Deadpool chair, because it was the same kind of chair Deadpool sat around his house on in the movie, that we got from IKEA. Great chair. I just kind of hang out in it, doing my things, writing, watching YouTube and all that kind of fun stuff. So I don't know where this injury came from, but it's when I put it in a certain position, it hurts like HE double hockey sticks, and it's just kind of weird. And then when I get up and I can put full weight on, I can literally stand my whole weight on it, and it's a little bit sore. But again, just standing, no big deal. When I'm walking on it, there's some soreness there, and it's starting to bug me. And like I say, it's giving me a limp. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, and I really don't know how I injured it, because it wasn't on the backpack. On the backpack trip, like I say, a little twinge here. There was also a little twinging on the right knee when I was going downhills, but you know, nothing really that big of a deal, and it wasn't really an injury. I was able to just hike and just kind of ignore it, and it didn't make me limp at all. Didn't change my stride at all. But whatever's going on with it now, it is. So we'll see what's going on. I'm icing it, and I've got a brace. You can see the picture there. I've got a brace on it, and yeah, so weird. But that's what's happening for now. Hopefully that won't get in the way of any of the hikes I have planned for the fall, because I do have a few planned. Right now I'm kind of been waiting out, not going on the trail and stuff like that, because of a combination of, in the past month or so, we have had either temperatures over 100 Fahrenheit or air quality index as high as in the 160s, 170s or higher, from smoke coming from the fires from the hills. The fires aren't actually near me. They're hundreds of miles away, but the wind in the right direction brings smoke from the Dixie Complex fire and the others that are threatening the beautiful Sierras and things like that here, and it sits in the valley for a while. And sometimes we had both. Sometimes it would be socked in and yet 100 degrees. So just have not been out on the trail, been avoiding it literally because of the heat or the air index. So I've been doing a bunch of other things. So I'm hoping to get more going out there with hiking and stuff like that as the temperatures start to come down and our air quality gets better. So I spent 5 minutes on that. That's enough. Here we go. with the commentary. The first one that I'm going to go with came from Facebook, and as soon as my computer brings it up, I guess. So, Facebook, our smartphones essential hiking gear. That was Hiker Homily 121. John Custis says this was a good video. Thanks, John. Although any electronic device should be a backup to other skills, map and compass, even if a hiker doesn't know how to do anything more than call 911, the emergency dispatcher who picks up the phone should be able to walk them through steps to pull up and read off their latitude and longitude in less than 2 minutes, assuming they have an Android or iOS phone. I'd advocate taking a phone for no other reason than that. Okay. And, you know, that's a great point. That's outstanding. The only caveat I would throw in there, because John makes a great point, but the only thing I would throw in there is you're banking on you're in a place that has cell signal to dial 911 and have the operator help you do that. That's one of the reasons why I really advocate emergency beacons, especially certain ones. The one I have is the InReach Explorer Plus. You obviously can go with it, but I know with that particular one that I use, in an emergency, I hit that emergency beacon, and the search and rescue person can get a hold of me and text with me. Where are you? Are you know, what's your situation? They know exactly what's going on before they get there. This is a person in a ravine with a broken leg, or this person's experiencing disorientation, chest pains, things like, you know, they know what they're coming to, and they're able to figure out exactly where you are because you've hit your beacon. And it does not count on cell signal. It's a satellite signal. So as long as everything is working there, you've got it. Where that's the thing with 911, that's absolutely true. If you are able to dial 911, an operator can help you, and so for no other reason, carry your phone for that. Absolutely. But if you're in a place where there's no cell signal, it's still a useless piece of equipment. And the other thing I would change is, he says, although electronic device should be a backup, for me, I switch it around. My electronic device, my cell phone, especially this last trip in the Sierra and some of the other hikes and stuff like that, my predominant navigator was my phone. I was using either the Gaia app or gut hooks, depending on what trail I'm on, to know where I'm at, and it did really well for my navigation system. If that failed, I always had a map and compass as a backup that I know how to use. I can do orientation. I can go that way. So I just kind of switched that around. Personal preference. I think a lot of hikers are doing that nowadays. So anyway, that goes over to the old Hiker Homily 121. Next, we'll go to Bruce Jackson. Again, from Facebook. This is about the video I did on Leave No Trace, principle number 1. And Bruce Jackson has the opinion that nobody knows what Leave No Trace is. Totally subjective, hard to claim Leave No Trace compliance, walking on heavily used, often eroded, root-covered, bare dirt treadway dotted with overused campsites, etc., etc., etc. And that's one of the old fallacy arguments that I see used all the time for Leave No Trace. Number 1, nobody knows what Leave No Trace is. I don't know how anybody can actually say that, honestly, when there's an entire website that you can go to that spells out step by step what Leave No Trace is. So you can't really say nobody knows what it is. It's subjective. No, there's an actual website that says these are the principles of Leave No Trace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. That's not subjective. They're right there. Now, whether you follow them or not properly is up to you. That's the subjective part, I guess. But that's not a Leave No Trace issue. That's a hiker issue. How some hikers just want to do what they want to do, and oh well. And then the old thing of, oh, you can't claim you're leaving no trace when you're walking on a trail that's threadbare. And because other people have effed up the woods and left toilet paper, mushrooms, and all that kind of stuff like that, I guess that means we just don't do Leave No Trace either. Okay? That's your typical fallacy arguments. Number 1, I'll be the first one to state that I have trouble with the name Leave No Trace, because as I have stated in my videos so far of covering Leave No Trace principles 1 and 2, yeah, that's an impossibility. Humans cannot go into a wilderness area and leave zero trace. It's impossible. You can't do it. So I would prefer a better name than Leave no trace, because no trace is not possible. Just the fact that you're hiking means there's going to be a hiking trail and probably a camp spot, and so there's going to be some traces left. But the purpose of leave no trace isn't really leave zero trace. It's to mitigate what you do leave when you go out there. So there should be a better title for it, but it's not. They named it leave no trace, so there we are. But to claim that no one knows what it is, I can look it up in 5 minutes. And it spells it out, what it is, or what it should be. Now, if people don't follow that and you find paper mushrooms out there, that's not a problem with no one knowing what leave no trace is. That's just people not giving a crap and not following leave no trace. Okay? So, yeah, kind of disagree there, but, you know, Bruce, you got your opinion. I appreciate it. You stated it really well. Yeah, I get it. And I do share part of your frustration. I really do. There is a frustration there as I disagree with the whole concept of leaving no trace. You can't do it. It can't be done. Can you mitigate as much of the trace that you leave? You absolutely can. And that's really what leave no trace is about. So maybe it's a little mislabeled, but it is there. And yeah, it's not subjective. You can see what it is. It's spelled out quite clearly. We teach a class to the Boy Scouts all the time on what it is. It's not subjective. This is leave no trace. All the way down, all the principles. This is how you do it. So yeah, I really disagree, me personally, with the fact that nobody knows what it is. No, people know what it is. There are just plenty of people out there who don't give a crap, and they don't follow it. So there is that. What have we got here now? Again, from Hiker Homily 121. This is from YouTube comments. Norway Hiking Trails says, stay safe. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you for sharing. Wishing you a wonderful weekend. It's awesome. That kind of feedback's fun. I really like that. So I appreciate that. Norway Hiking Trails. Give those guys a view. Give that channel a view. That's pretty awesome. Going on to YouTube comment from John Wimmer on 5 on food proteins for hiking. Hickory smoked is a real good flavor in the tuna. I agree. I have tried the hickory smoked tuna. It goes really well with plain couscous and a few other things I've tried. Sometimes I'll just put it just by itself with a little bit of cheese on a tortilla, and that's a lunch right there. That's good stuff. So, yep, hickory smoked of the tuna packets. I do like that. Another YouTube comment about Hiker Homily 123, which was leave no trace principle number 2. I did kind of have a little mini rant there where I said that sometimes the trail creators can be idiots. And I said, oh, that's kind of a harsh word and stuff like that. John Wimmer says, idiot. Yes, it's a harsh word, harsh but accurate. I am afraid sometimes it is. Most of the time, really, the folks who design or follow through, a lot of the trails we follow are either old game trails that have been developed into hiking trails, or they were Native American trade routes. And so a lot of the time, it just, when they were making those routes, it just made sense. Now, some of the trails that were created by just your, like a park service person or whatever, some of those do some things that are kind of goofy, and you know, for the life of me, you can't figure out why. Why does it do this when we could have just gone this way and saved, you know, blah, blah, blah amount of time and not have to climb this ridge twice, things like that. Yeah, so I kind of threw out the I word there, and John's trying to back me up, and I appreciate it. Next comment is another YouTube comment about Hiker Homily 121, smartphones essential. That was a popular one, a lot of comments there. John Wimmer, as always, I enjoy watching your mind at work. Invited controversy is so true. Love the 55 plus hiker buff. I'm really enjoying that buff as well. I picked up a third buff, not 55 hiker plus, in Morro Bay that I like. So now I've got several buffs now, different colors and things, but I really do enjoy the 55 plus hiker buff. As far as the smartphone being essential equipment, I would give it a 60-40 split, leaning toward essential. As far as damage, my electronic device cover for my phone includes rubber armor. Yeah, I have one of those too, as best I can to try and protect it. Yeah, and you know, 60-40 is pretty good. For me, probably leaning more towards maybe 80-20, 70-30, somewhere around there. But then again, I have to totally admit that some of the hikes I do, I don't even ever look at a map. I'm doing them in very simple day hike territory, I look at the map before I leave. I get it. And fortunately, a lot of the times I'm hiking like in, say, the East Bay Regional Parks that are near me and some of those, and like Consumnes River Preserve. And those trails are marked so well. I hardly ever need to look at my phone map or the paper map I have with me. So sometimes the ratio is 0-0. I'm not looking at a map at all because I've got it in my mind. Okay, I want to do this. I'm going to hook up with this trail. That will take me around to such and such, and that'll bring me back to the parking lot. So a nice big loop hike and things like that. And then once I get out there, especially for East Bay Regional Parks or Consumnes and stuff, don't even need a map. I'm getting to a certain point. Well, there it is, marked right there. This is the such and such junction for. So I follow this trail around. That's going to bring me to that. Oh, here I am. An hour later, I'm at that sign, and so I take this. I'm back to the parking lot. There I am. You know, so really cool. But yeah, if I'm really out there, like say when I was backpacking and stuff, I have to say probably 80% of the time. Actually, most of the time on that backpack trip, it was phone. I brought out my map once the first night just to kind of look at a few things, but not really plotting anything. Just like if I'm going to do something tomorrow, because it was my kind of hang around 0 day. Day 2 was just kind of just laying around, round valley and stuff. You know, I was kind of looking at, oh, what kind of little trails peel off to this lake or that in case I want to walk those, and just real simple stuff like that. I used my paper map for that because I was charging my phone. I didn't want to use the battery. So it worked out there. So yeah, 80-20 probably, more electronic than map now, but I always have that map as a backup. And finally from Connie Shower. I hope I said that right, Connie. Regarding my hike report of Pine Mountain. Thanks for the little tour. I haven't been on that mountain since I was 12 years old in 1960. You're very welcome, Connie. And that kind of feedback I really like. That's just the kind of thing where it's like, it's one of the reasons why I do hike reports, so people can kind of see the trail. And maybe in cases like that, like Pine Mountain, which is sitting in the middle of the Atascadero, maybe a little nostalgia for some people. Like I say, that mountain, my wife was born literally at the hospital in Atascadero. Was a little 3 or 4 room hospital, and it literally sits at the very root of that mountain. The trailhead that starts the trail we did to get up that mountain, if we just turn around opposite direction, look across the road, you can see the hospital where she was born. It's still sitting there. So it was really neat to get up on top of that mountain. That was the first time, even though my wife lived in that town all through her childhood and stuff like that, and her grandmother still lives on the road that's right across the street looking up at this big mountain. She had never been to the top, so it was really fun to hike up to the top. It was a great hike, really meant something to her, and we both had a lot of fun together. And yeah, and there's other people out there that remember this little area. It's by no means this huge mountain to summit. It really isn't. But there's nostalgia there, so I appreciate that, Connie. Thanks so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And that's the commentary for this time. Start collecting any more from that come in and things, and towards the end of the year we'll probably do another one of these. But yeah, so that's kind of a catch-up thing too. Got the weird thing going on with my left knee, but I do still hope once our temperatures get down and the air quality is finally clear and better, to get out and get some more hiking done. That's the big plan, do some fall hiking. Usually I don't do a lot of hiking in the winter time, but you know what, the last couple of winters, at least in the valley here, have been pretty mild. We don't get our real rain until like February, March. Then we get our rainy season, and then that's it for the year for rain most of the time. So probably won't hit any mountains with snow. Hopefully they get snow or anything like that. And we're going to have our friendly ambulance drive by. But yeah, hopefully do some actual valley hiking in the winter time, just little ones. But I don't know if anything's going to make it to the channel, because it's going to be stuff like Consumnes and all that. So as the dog sings us out, singing with the ambulance, we'll say goodbye, and I'll see you. And thanks for watching, by the way, all the time. And for those of you who do comment back, really appreciate the feedback. Even folks that don't 100% agree with, I don't always agree with, or they don't agree with my opinion, they have a different opinion about things, I still appreciate the feedback. I really do. And I'm going to get your point out there. I'll put it out there and let people make their own decisions and things. So I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.